Hello, I'm Anthony, founder at Seedlegals, and I talk to thousands of founders on Seedlegals. And I know that one of the biggest problems that founders have is finding a co-founder. You can't put an ad on the internet saying wanted co-founder, offering no money, risks high. It's a bit like going on a date and wanting marriage on the first date. It doesn't work. So if only there was a way to find a co-founder. So I was delighted to meet Kar from Foundermatcha. Matcha is in the tea. It's building a platform for finding co-founders. So Kar, tell me about Foundermatcha, how it works, and a bit your background. What got you out of bed one day going, you know what I need to build is a founder matchmaking platform?
Absolutely. First of all, it's a delight to be with you. I'm a serial founder with successful startups, also less successful startups. As I've done many startups in my previous life, I found out that finding a co-founder is like playing 3D chess. You typically have an idea. You need to find a technical co-founder. You're not sure yet in what tech stack to build it in. You don't have money on offer. Maybe you have some equity on offer. So it's a bit like playing 3D chess. And so I wanted to build a platform to really initially solve that for myself. And that turned out to be Foundermatcha, which is a matchmaking platform for early stage founders to match up with their founding engineers. And one of the big insights that we had was the matchmaking should be predominantly based on deep alignment in terms of mission, vision, values, and personality, rather than treating it like a technical CV.
Okay, so one of the things I say to founders is that there are three roles that you need in a successful startup. One is the streetwise domain hustler. That's the person whose idea it was. They're going to get out. They've got the audience. They're on the mission, but they often don't know how to build it. So role number two is the person who can help execute and deliver, often the CTO. And role number three is the person who can help find investment and also make sure it's a viable business. That maps often to the CFO. So you need to look within and see which one or more of these roles am I, and now look to complement yourself with typically one, it could be more than one, co-founder to sort the pieces that you're not the expert on. So how do you help founders analyze what they are and figure out who they need to join?
So I'd say from the get-go is that your description of what a founder needs as part of the founding team is completely accurate. We're solving right now for just one specific pain point in that selection. So it's about finding your technical co-founder or founding engineer. Now, I basically don't make a distinguishment between the two, because if you become a technical co-founder, then in a sense you are getting married, so to speak, right? But having said that, though, I think one of the also insights that we had is that a lot of founders, they ultimately want to get married with somebody, but they want to ideally date first before they decide to put the ring on each other, so to speak. So that is really the narrow lane that we want to solve for. It is also the hardest problem to solve for, because typically a non-technical founder, to get matched up with a technical person, they are culturally the furthest apart from each other, and they don't speak the same language. They don't hang out at the same places. They don't speak the same language. It's relatively easy for a business savvy person to talk to a go-to-market person, or to talk to a marketing person, or to talk to a finance person. But to talk to a technical person, it's completely different.
All right, so let's talk about this dating process, because the challenge is, many founder arrangements break up. At Seedlegals, we create founder agreements on Seedlegals with vesting to protect people when things go wrong. But maybe 10 or 20% of the time, there's a founder breakup. If it's in the early stages, you met in the pub a few times, you had an idea, it didn't go anywhere, that's cool. But once you've raised investment, then it becomes problematic. So the challenge is, let's say you found this technical co-founder, co-founders know they're in hot demand. And so you can approach it at two ends of the spectrum. One of them is to say, great, come on board. I'll give you 50% of my company, with vesting, of course, get a founder agreement on Seedlegals, but you're giving them immediately a lot of equity and calling them a co-founder. The other one is you go, well, I don't know if this is going to work. So before I give away half the company, I'm going to call you a lead engineer, and I'm going to give you 5% equity and pay you a salary. And if we get on well, I'm going to now call that a CTO and give you potentially some more equity. And if that works, then we'll look to, make a path to being a co-founder. So what do you see and what is your suggestion for what, founders should do?
In a nutshell, we are building Foundermatcha to cater for the second journey that you described. Nobody's doing that. We're the only ones doing that. People are looking for their co-founder, but like we said just now with a dating analogy, they are not ready yet to commit on the first date. So ultimately, it's about finding your ideal person. There's no golden bullet. There's definitely some things that we can help. For example, stop looking only at the tech stack that they can do and start looking at if you're aligned on mission, vision, values. But ultimately, it's a dating process.
Okay, sounds good. Now, I see founders often posting in founder groups looking for a co founder, but they're never going to find a co founder that way because they don't give any detail. I mean, if you want to join somebody, you're a hotly in demand tech person. You're looking to, do something more exciting than a day job at a large company. You want to, skin in the game in an early stage company. A lot of it is going to be the mission that you're on, the founder and team that you're joining. So when you're a founder, you need to show the mission, the purpose, the vibe, your way of working to create excitement that people want to join you. If you just do a post going looking for co-founders, like, dude, no one's going to join. More information is needed. Say if it was me, it would be, looking for visionary, mildly cantankerous co-founder who likes listening to Wagner late at night and will send you Slack messages at 2 a.m. looking for things to be built the next day. If that's of interest, give me a call. And then you know perfectly well whether it's good to join that company or not. So how does Foundermatcha tease out the personality, the mission, and the purpose, and help founders who are looking for co-founders to put that all on the platform?
Yeah. So currently, what we do is when a new user, a new founder onboards and he's looking for a lead engineer or a tech co-founder, we ask him a couple of things that really not anybody asks. Is this a pure equity play? Is this a cash and equity play? At what stage your company is in? Is it really at ideation stage or is it more mature? Some developers are really keen to join an early stage startup, but some of them say, I want to be a co-founder from ideation stage, and others says, I'm happy to work from the sweat equity, but I want something that's already up and running. Then we tease out information like, what is really the purpose of this startup? What motivated you doing? Some people want to build a green tech and really want to make social impact. Others are really just about making a quick buck and maybe have an exit sale in 2, 3 years, right? And so you've got mission, vision, values, and then we also ask about personality. Yeah. And so what our app will do is saying, hey, Anthony, you're doing this particular startup in this particular industry. Maybe you have a hypothesis about what kind of tech stack you want this guy to be versed in. I found somebody, he might not tick all the boxes from a technical point of view, but he ticks some boxes in terms of mission, vision, and alignment point of view. He's based in London. Why don't you have a quick 15-minute speed date with him to see if there's some chemistry there?
Okay, that sounds brilliant. Now, you mentioned he or guy a few times. Obviously, we want to champion female founders, and there are not that many female technical co-founders. So how do you help female founders hire technical co-founders and technical female aspirant co-founders on the platform?
Well, I will say honestly, Anthony, it's been a struggle also for us. Right now, we have about 1,500 users on our platform. About half of them founders, half of them engineers. But roughly, the male to female ratio is about 90-10. Yeah, it's a big problem. We're trying to solve it. We are now looking into hosting in-person live speed dating events that are female only. We're looking into collaborations. But ultimately, it's one of those things that I'm personally also very passionate about and I want to spearhead as well.
Right, that's a great point because I mean, at Seedlegals, our goal is to democratize fundraising, help people raise from angel investors, which are much more demographically varied than perhaps later stage VCs. And I know that a very small percent of CTOs are female. So whatever we can do to champion this, and hopefully this platform, by providing female matchmaking and so on, is going to be helpful in driving a lot more female technical co-founders.
I will say one thing, Anthony, is that Our app allows for people to specify what their ideal co-founder or partner looks like, and it allows to go for beyond the technical realm of what is on the CV. So, for example, we had some unique cases where women, of course, say, "Hey, I would like a female co-founder." Or we even had a case where a male is asking for specifically for a female co-founder. We also had cases where religion or faith is part of the requirements. So these are things that you can't put on your LinkedIn post or on your Upwork job description, and but that we cater for.
Okay, so this sounds fantastic. Any top tips for someone looking for a co-founder or somebody technical who's looking to become a co-founder? What are the top three things to do or not do for maximize your success? And of course, getting on Foundermatcha to do that.
I would say one unique thing that I've learned or I've seen is that besides looking at the CV and what they can do for each other, it's also important to look at what phase of life your candidate is in. So as you basically, map out a normal person's life, and if we can make some have some bias towards what's commonly known, is that people in the early 20s, they have typically a lot of drive. Maybe they're single, maybe they don't have much expenses yet, but they have a lot of drive, but they maybe lack a bit of knowledge and some experience. Then in 30 to 40, maybe that's sort of like, I think typically a sweet spot where people have energy, but they also have a bit of knowledge. And then people who are maybe later on in their phase of life, they might have already kids, mortgage, etc., etc. They might have less energy, but they might have stronger networks. Yeah. And what people tend to like to do is to basically get matched up with somebody who is in the same phase of life as he is, right? Now, I know from experience, I'm a 40-plus-year-old person with a mortgage and 2 kids. I don't want to partner with somebody who's in the exact phase of my life, because that basically means on Saturday afternoon, we both are doing stuff with the kids and we both don't have time to move the needle, right? And so I think it's an interesting dynamic for people to look into.
So that's a really great point. And one of the things I see that doesn't work is when I see someone ping me, for advice at Seedlegals. They're at Goldman Sachs, they're earning, £250,000 a year. They want to be a founder. They're happy to decrease their salary to £200,000 a year as a founder. It's like, dude, that doesn't work. The whole point is you're going to be bootstrapping. You're going to be funding it for the first 6 or 9 months yourself, and earning no money and putting in a median of, £25,000 yourself. And then you might be earning 40 or 50K as a salary once you've got your funding round. So there has to be an expectation match. And that becomes one of the real problems when you are hiring a co-founder. If you're expecting them to take a lot less salary than their market rate would be, you have to compensate them with sufficient equity to make the exercise worthwhile. You can't expect someone to give up their 120K a year programming job for 40K a year and then give them 3% equity. That's a bum deal for them. If they got 30% equity, maybe they'd buy into it. And so that becomes one of the really interesting things when looking for a co-founder. Okay, so everyone should head over to foundermatcha, like the tea.com. Kar, it was brilliant talking. Any last words?
No, first of all, I want to say, Anthony, it's a real pleasure to meet you. I am online on a lot of founder online communities, and I always see you active, giving out free advice for not asking nothing in return. So you're a real inspiration to me. So I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And yes, I'm on a personal mission, as in this discussion, to help founders right from the beginning, right through to hopefully a valuable exit afterwards. Kar, thank you so much for chatting.
Thank you.